Hello and welcome everyone to Tea Time with me. I cannot wait to talk about the topic for today. And just so you know, my tea of choice today is a kiwi lemon balm. It's supposed to be really good for stress, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. And a reminder that you are magic and a unicorn. So good reminder for today's tea. We're going to dive right in here. Let me put this down in a spot where it's not going to spill. And so today we are going to be talking a little bit about planning for 2024. I cannot believe we're already at that point where we have to be thinking about the new year and reflecting on the year that has been. And there were some things that I learned this year that I wish I would have known in the past. And I want to share that with you today because as a leader of change, you need to have energy, focus. It's a hard job. Like it burns people out very, very quickly. And I don't want that to happen to any of you. So as you're looking at the year to come, there's a couple of things that you could be doing that might be useful for you. So, and this is again, all stuff that I just recently learned. So I hope that it is helpful for you. So let's go through some like three things that you could be thinking about as you are planning for 2024. The first thing is to take a step back and understand where you are, where you want to go. Okay, where do you want to go in this year? How are you going to get there? But the most important thing of the entire equation here is why. Okay, so as a leader of change, you're probably swimming in a lot of things at work. You probably have a lot of things going on at home. If you're like me, you're trying to balance your growing kids that are teenagers and have a lot of emotion and all kinds of stuff. And then you also go to work and you're like, I have thousands of people that I'm taking through this change. And I need to have the energy and the focus and the drive of why I am doing this each and every day. So if you can kind of picture, if you get a piece of paper out and you put in the lower left-hand corner, draw a box and put in, where am I today? And that can be where you feel mentally, how you feel physically, how you feel spiritually, how you feel intellectually. All of those things would go into where you are today. Okay. And then draw a line to the up to the other corner opposite of where you started from and draw another box and put in where you want to be by the end of next year. So here's something to ask yourself as you're doing this. If you and I were sitting together a year from now and we were celebrating something that you accomplished this year, and maybe many things you accomplished this year, what would we be celebrating, right? And it's a perfect way to frame this out. And I learned all of this from Dean Graciosi. I was invited to one of his mastermind groups and read several of his books. And this has just been such a helpful tool for me to use to reflect on my journey and be appreciative of all of the effort that we put into making a difference in life and improving what we do each and every day. So that's a baseline. So you have where you are, where you want to go, and what are we celebrating at the end of next year. Then the way that I like to do it, because maybe I'm more of a how person than a why person, but I like to jump to the how and say, okay, if I'm starting here and I want to be here, what are the things that I need to be doing differently this year to make sure that I can achieve success moving forward? And I would recommend writing down as much as you want in this. Get it all out there. Try to make actually a very lengthy list. But at the end of the day, what then you need to do is, because you can't tackle 100 things next year. Like it's not healthy. You won't focus anywhere if you have too many different things that you're focusing on. So get everything out there and then start thinking through what's really really required. And then that's what you will put as your how for next year. The why is harder. Okay. Why are you doing all this? Why do you want to go from where you are today to where you want to be? And how, like, what's motivating you to do that? And sometimes it's really, really hard to understand that. At the surface, you might say, well, I need to make a living, right? I need to I need to provide money, have money to provide for my family, and I want to go on vacations or whatever that might be. Mm, or drink really, really good tea. Um, but usually a why is deeper than that. So um, one thing that you probably use in the corporate world today is the seven whys, and especially when you're trying to get to root cause of something that's going on, when you're doing process improvement work or something like that, you can use the seven whys on yourself. And again, this is a Dean Graziosi tip, right? And it works brilliantly. And so when you write down your initial why, ask yourself why again, and then ask yourself why again, and continue to do that through 7 times. And it will be amazing what you find. It is going to be something that's really deep rooted in you emotionally, that's driving you forward. And it's okay if it is a fear, or it's okay if it is something that happened to you in your past that you don't want to repeat in your future. That is okay. It is the deeply rooted why that you're doing that. And the reason why this is so important is because things get tough, right? Um, when you're creating change in organizations, you might come home at night and be like, what the heck am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? It is so hard. I don't understand why I put myself through torture every single day. And you need to have that strong foundational why in those moments to say, this is why I'm doing it. This is what's motivating me. And for me, just to share my deeply rooted why, it's to show my girls that women in particular, although men, you can have the same thing, that women in particular can dream big and be successful, right? So I left a perfectly great job. I was a vice president of procurement, dream job all around. But at the end of the day, I wanted to show my kids that I had a dream that I could go after and be successful in it. And so when things get tough, I I know that's what's rooting me every single day is my two daughters are looking at me and learning from me and seeing what I'm accomplishing and seeing that it takes work and effort. So all of that is goodness. So highly recommend uh, taking a step back as we head into next year to make sure that you are analyzing your why in a very deep rooted way, and then thinking through how you migrate from where you are today to where you want to be and how you're going to get there. So that's tip number one for planning next year. Now, tip number two, and I will say that this has been something that was a significant aha moment for me um, over the last couple of weeks, even. Like, so this is really, really recent for me. And I am already applying it in my life, and I can feel the difference. Everything that we do, especially those that are in these tough roles where you're creating the change within the organizations, we need to find joy in our day to day life and be very particular about the opportunities that we are taking and the opportunities that we say no to. And I am an all in kind of a person. My team knows this. I probably drive them nuts, but I get really excited really easily about different opportunities, and I see the win-wins, and I understand how things could be moving forward for the benefit of everyone involved. And I jump in with 2 feet without a lot of thinking. Like I just like, this is awesome. Let's do this. Let's rock and roll moving forward. So instead of maybe doing it that way, there is an opportunity to look at it differently. And this is really to help you create that joy in your life and to create room in your life for the big opportunities. And I know you in particular, if you're leading change, you're considered a high performer, more than likely. You get a lot of stuff put on your plate at corporate because if you're good, the work comes to you. You never have to ask for the work. It just gets put on you because people trust you. They understand the results that you can drive, and it can get overwhelming. And so I was always the one in corporate would be like, yeah, me. And then all of a sudden, a year into it, I'll be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I have no energy. I'm completely burnt out. Don't want to do this anymore. So don't do that to yourself. And what I recommend is if you think about your decision framework, and this was a Brendan Burchard brilliant talk that I heard from him a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, shit, I don't have a decision framework. Like I go by my gut. If it feels good, we're going forward. And we have hundreds of opportunities that we're trying to tackle. So instead of doing that, what I recommend that you do is if you think about what means the most to you, what's important in your life, and start writing that down. And so for me, it was my lifestyle, it was my ability to make revenue, it was my sense of adventure. I love adventure, something new, going around a corner that has never been explored before, um, and growth, right? So that's for me some of my kind of key points that I wanted to write down as really truly, if I think about the life that I want to live, what's really important to me at the end of the day. And then another thing that I had was values, an alignment to values. Values are my foundation. It's what roots me every single day. And so that was also part of my very, very, very important list. So I put together that list and then I said, okay, are there any of these that really stand out more than others? And for me, it was the alignment to values. So if you think about this in an equation, we're starting to build almost like a math equation to evaluate an opportunity. So what I had was growth plus revenue plus lifestyle plus um, oh, I'm forgetting. Uh, so um, I'll think of it. So there's another fourth one times values. Okay, so because values were so much more important, I want to multiply um, the others by the values. So it's a multiplier effect. So what you need to do is go through and say what's truly important to me when it comes to a decision that I want to make, or my what's really motivating me at the end of the day, what's important in my life. How do I want to align my life to those opportunities? So you start creating this equation. Then there's the kind of opposite side of things a little bit, where sometimes opportunities will take energy, they'll take sanity, they will take money, they'll take resources, and so they'll take time away from you. So there's that other side of the equation. You're like, okay, well, if for any opportunity, what are the things that will take away from that opportunity? So for me, it was definitely time. It was upfront investment. It was my sanity. Okay. And I've had some experiences this year where sanity really, really, really became important to how I wanted to run my business and the opportunities that I took on. So if you think about your math equation, you have the top, like you're going through and you're building out that math equation. Now underneath, you have everything you divide, put your dividing line. And then underneath that is, for me, time, sanity, and money. Okay. You add all of that together and you've just built out a really cool equation to understand what's important to you at the end of the day. So I do mine as a 1 to 5 kind of rating. So you go through and, oh, adventure was the other one that I forgot. That's so funny. So you go through and you mark down what a 1 to 5. So if it's high adventure, it's a 5. It's low, it's 1. For sanity, for instance, if it's going to take away my sanity, it's a 5. If it's yeah, not if it's great for sanity purposes, it's a 1. So you put all of that together and you get a number. Now, if it's a super low number, it means it's not a good opportunity for you. If it's a higher number, it means it's a great opportunity for you. And you have to find where your threshold is, right? On that value to make sure that it is a great opportunity for you to pursue. And this is really interesting too. When I think back about my corporate life, if I would have had something like this where I could go to my leadership and say, this is what's truly important to me. This is how I'm evaluating an opportunity that comes to me or that you're giving to me or you're volunteering me for. It would be a really great way to manage up, right? And it would be a great way for you to understand where maybe you want to focus your development plan, your training, etc., your exposure externally. Maybe you want to go do speaking gigs or whatever that might be. You can be in full alignment to what's important to you and how you want to live your life. So that is number 2. Okay. Now, the third piece of advice that I have is really basically finding joy in what you do. And I didn't do a very good job at this when I was in corporate leading all of those change initiatives. And I really wish I would have. And because there is magic in the work that you do. And while it's hard and not easy, and requires a lot of your time and effort and confusing at times, because I've been there many times, there's a lot of joy in the moments when you see people coming along where you've changed their life because of a change that you have driven forward. This is something that you option number 3, because you are magic. And there's a lot of magic in the day-to-day that you do. One thing that I wish I would have done a better job at when I was leading change, because it's so hard, right? So you're thinking about all the things that you need to do, but sometimes just not living in the moment and noticing all of the moments of joy around you. So this is maybe more like a gratitude reflection or just making sure that you are staying present in what you're doing. So a tip that I've learned along the way, especially as I'm starting my own company, and that's really hard to do too, is to have a journal or even a place where you can save files. Like, so if you get an email expressing appreciation for something that you did, or you noticed something that was absolutely amazing that someone else did that you recognized, save that email or write it down. If there was an amazing moment where you had a conversation with someone that was being impacted by the change that you were moving forward, and they were talking about how much it has significantly changed their life in a positive way, that is a moment to write down. There is joy in the hard times, right? And by writing all of this stuff down, making a file folder, when you come to a year end like we are, or when you're preparing for the next year, you can reflect on all of those. So open them back up, review them, and understand that you are truly making a difference in what you're doing in people's lives. And that's, I think, part of the reason why leading change was such an important part of what I did in my career in corporate and what I'm still doing today, is because I love giving people the opportunity to grow. And while some changes might not feel positive at the time, it, they usually help people grow in new ways that they never expected. And I love being part of that. And that might be part of what drives you. But if you don't take a moment to reflect on those moments of joy, everything can feel chaotic, it can feel overwhelming, and you might miss those moments of being present that truly are those magical things like we're talking about today. Magical things. So I hope that you enjoyed these 3 different tips around how you can be framing out success in 2024, but then also finding joy and making sure that you have true alignment with what you're doing and that you can create the energy to truly, truly make a difference in the world next year and share your magic as you go. So I hope you enjoyed this tea time, and make sure you grab your tea and enjoy and join us next time. Thank you. Bye.